Hello, everyone, and welcome to the very first episode. I'm your host, Jason, and I'm joined by my wonderful co host, Amira. How are you today, Amira?
See you in the next episode. Hey, Jason, I'm doing great, thanks. Hello to all our listeners. I'm really excited about today's topic. It's one that so many English learners struggle with, and I think we've got some great advice to share.
Absolutely. Today, we're diving into something really important: how to understand native speakers. Now, we know that for a lot of ESL learners, this can be one of the biggest challenges. It's not just about knowing the words or grammar. It's about keeping up with how native speakers talk in real-life situations.
Yes, and it can be quite frustrating. Native speakers often speak fast, use slang, or have strong accents, which can make it tough for someone still learning English to follow along. I remember when I first started learning, I found it hard to catch everything people were saying.
Exactly. And that's why we're here today. We'll break down the common challenges you might face, whether it's dealing with speed, unfamiliar vocabulary, or just understanding those tricky accents. But don't worry, we've got plenty of tips and techniques to help you feel more confident and comfortable when listening to native speakers.
So, if you've ever felt like you're missing out on conversations or struggling to understand a movie, this episode is for you. By the end of today's show, we hope you'll have some useful strategies to improve your listening skills and feel more connected to the language.
Let's get started. But before we dive in, make sure you subscribe to our channel and leave a comment below if you have any questions about today's topic. We love hearing from you. All right, let's jump into the first part of today's topic: the key challenges that English learners face when trying to understand native speakers. And trust me, we know there are quite a few. Amira, what would you say is the most common issue people encounter?
I think one of the biggest challenges is speed. Native speakers can speak really fast, especially in casual conversations. It can feel like they're rushing through their sentences without giving you time to process what they're saying. When you're learning a new language, your brain needs just a little more time to catch up. And when people speak too quickly, it's easy to feel overwhelmed.
Exactly! It's not just the speed, though. Another big challenge is connected speech. Native speakers don't always pronounce each word clearly. They blend sounds together. For example, instead of saying, "What are you doing?" clearly it might come out as, "What you doing?" That's something learners might not be ready for because it's different from how they learned English in textbooks.
Yes. And don't forget slang and informal expressions. Native speakers use a lot of slang in everyday conversations that might not be covered in traditional language courses. Expressions like "I'm beat" to mean "I'm tired" or "catch you later" instead of "goodbye." These phrases can be confusing if you're not familiar with them, right?
Exactly. And then there's the issue of accents. English is spoken around the world, and even native speakers from different regions have different accents. Someone from the US sounds different from someone in the UK, Australia, or South Africa. This can make it hard for learners because they're not just dealing with English words, they're also dealing with variations in pronunciation and intonation.
Totally. And these accents can really throw people off. Even if you understand standard English well, a heavy regional accent might still cause confusion. I've had friends who learned British English but struggled to understand American movies because the accents and some vocabulary were different.
And one last challenge that a lot of people don't realize is the cultural context. Native speakers often make references to cultural things: TV shows, local jokes, sports teams, that non-native speakers might not know about. This adds another layer of difficulty because even if you understand the words, the meaning might not make sense without knowing the culture behind it.
That's a really good point. Understanding native speakers isn't just about the language itself. It's also about understanding the culture that goes with it. But don't worry, everyone. These challenges might seem big, but they're all things you can improve with practice and the right strategies.
Absolutely. In the next part of the episode, we'll dive into some practical tips that will help you overcome these challenges and get better at understanding native speakers. Stay tuned. Now that we've talked about some of the key challenges, let's move on to the most important part. What can you do to actually improve your listening skills and understand native speakers better? We've got some great tips lined up for you, so let's get started. Amira, what's your first tip?
My first tip is to start slow and gradually increase the difficulty. If you're just starting out, don't jump straight into watching complex movies or listening to fast-paced podcasts. Begin with content that's designed for learners, like slow-speed news programs or beginner-level podcasts. As you get more comfortable, you can increase the difficulty by listening to faster speakers or more advanced topics.
That's a great tip, and it ties into my first suggestion, which is to practice with subtitles. When you watch English videos or TV shows, turn on the subtitles, but in English, not in your native language. This way, you're reading and listening at the same time, which helps reinforce what you're hearing. Once you feel confident, try turning the subtitles off and see how much you can understand on your own.
Yes, and don't be afraid to repeat what you're listening to. I always tell learners to listen to the same audio multiple times. On your first try, you might only catch a few words or phrases, but after listening 2 or 3 times, you'll pick up more and it'll start to make sense. Repetition is key to training your ear to catch the sounds and patterns of native speech.
Another useful technique is to focus on key words and context. Native speakers often drop words or shorten them, but the key words will still be there. For example, if someone says, "Gonna grab lunch, wanna come?" You might not catch every single word clearly, but you know they're asking if you want to join them for lunch. Don't stress about understanding every word. Focus on the overall meaning and use the context to fill in the gaps.
That's a great point, Jason. Another tip that really helped me was listening to a variety of accents. Like we said earlier, native speakers from different regions have different accents. To get used to this, expose yourself to different English-speaking countries. Watch movies, listen to podcasts, or even check out YouTube channels from the US, the UK, Australia, and more. The more exposure you get to different accents, the easier it becomes to understand them.
Yes, variety is so important. And while you're doing that, it's helpful to practice shadowing. Have you heard of shadowing, Amira?
Yes, I love shadowing. For those of you who don't know, shadowing is when you listen to someone speaking English and try to repeat what they're saying as quickly and accurately as possible, almost like you're shadowing them. It's a great way to train your brain and your mouth to get used to the speed and rhythm of native speech.
Exactly. And if you want to take it a step further, you can pause the audio after each sentence or phrase, repeat it out loud, and then play it again to check how close you were. This not only improves your listening, but also helps your pronunciation.
I love that. And one more tip I have is to immerse yourself in English as much as possible. If you can, try to surround yourself with English daily. Watch English TV shows, listen to music, follow English-speaking influencers on social media, and try to engage with content that you enjoy. The more English you hear in your everyday life, the more natural it will become to understand native speakers.
That's such a good point. And even if you can't live in an English-speaking country, technology makes it possible to immerse yourself in English from wherever you are. I'd also recommend using apps and online tools designed to improve your listening skills. There are great apps out there like Duolingo, Babbel, or English Central that offer listening exercises, dictation, and even real-life conversations to practice with.
And don't forget to be patient with yourself. Learning to understand native speakers takes time. It won't happen overnight, but with consistent practice, you'll see improvement. Celebrate the small wins along the way, like understanding a new phrase or catching a joke in an English TV show.
That's right, Amira. Don't give up. Keep practicing. Stay curious. And remember, the more you listen, the more you'll improve. In the next part, we're going to look at some real-life examples of situations where understanding native speakers is crucial and how to navigate them.
Stay with us, everyone.
All right, now that we've covered some useful tips, let's talk about real-life situations where understanding native speakers is crucial. Amira, do you have a situation in mind where understanding native English speakers was really challenging for you at first?
Oh, yes. I remember when I first moved to an English-speaking country. One of the hardest situations for me was ordering food at a busy restaurant. The servers spoke so quickly, and they used a lot of informal phrases like, "What can I get you?" or "Do you want that to go?" I felt like I couldn't keep up. I had learned formal English, but the way they spoke was much faster and more casual.
I can imagine that being overwhelming. And restaurants are one of those places where you're expected to respond quickly, which makes it even harder. That's a great example. A similar situation is on the phone. I think a lot of learners struggle with phone conversations. Without body language or visual cues, it's easy to miss what the other person is saying. Have you had any experiences like that? Porn.
Definitely. Phone conversations can be tricky. I remember trying to book an appointment over the phone. The receptionist had a thick accent and they were speaking really fast. I had to ask them to slow down and repeat themselves a few times. It was a good reminder that it's okay to politely ask someone to repeat something if you didn't catch it the first time.
That's a great point. Never be afraid to ask someone to repeat themselves or to speak more slowly. Another real-life scenario where understanding native speakers is important is in social settings. When you're at a gathering with friends or co-workers, conversations can move quickly, and people might use a lot of slang or cultural references. Have you ever experienced that?
Oh, all the time. I used to feel lost in group conversations because people would reference TV shows, sports, or jokes that I didn't know about. One time, someone made a joke using a phrase I'd never heard before, and everyone laughed except me. I realized that understanding isn't just about the language, it's also about knowing the culture.
Exactly. Social settings can be tough, but they're also a great opportunity to learn. The more you immerse yourself in these situations, the more you'll start to understand the cultural references and jokes. One last example I'd like to add is job interviews. Understanding native speakers in a professional setting is crucial, especially when you're asked questions about your skills or experience. The language might be more formal, but they might still speak quickly or use industry-specific terms.
That's a great one, Jason. Job interviews can be nerve-wracking, but practicing listening skills beforehand can make a big difference. It helps to familiarize yourself with common interview questions and industry jargon so you're not caught off guard.
Absolutely. The key takeaway here is that these real-life situations might feel challenging at first, but they're also the best opportunities to improve your listening skills. The more you engage with native speakers in real-world contexts, the more confident you'll become.
That's right. And don't worry if you don't get it right the first time. With practice, these situations will become easier and more manageable.
Now, let's have some fun with a bit of role-playing. This is a great way to put everything we've talked about into practice. We'll go through a quick conversation, break it down, and show you how to better understand native speakers in real-life situations. Ready, Amira?
Ready? Let's do it. So, Let's say we're at a coffee shop and I'm the barista. I'll start with a typical greeting, and you, as the customer, will respond. Afterward, we'll go over any tricky parts. Sound good?
Sounds perfect. Let's go.
Hi there. What can I get you today?
Hey, I'll have a large coffee, please. Can I get that with almond milk?
Sure thing. Would you like anything to eat with that? We've got some fresh pastries today.
That sounds great. I'll take a blueberry muffin.
Awesome. I'll have that ready for you in just a minute. You can pick it up at the counter.
All right, let's break that down. So, at the beginning, you said, "Hi there. What can I get you today?" It's a very common and casual way of asking what someone would like to order. Some learners might expect a more formal question like, "What would you like?" But native speakers often shorten things in everyday conversations.
Exactly. And your response, Jason, was clear and to the point. You said, "I'll have a large coffee, please." You used "I'll have," which is a common phrase in ordering. Learners might be used to saying, "I want," but "I'll have" is more polite and natural in English.
Right. Then you asked if I wanted anything to eat with my coffee. You said, "We've got some fresh pastries today." Notice how instead of saying, "we have," you said, "we've got," which is a more casual form. That's something native speakers do all the time.
Yes, it's very conversational. And when you ordered your muffin, I said, "Awesome. I'll have that ready for you in just a minute." That's another example of a casual, everyday phrase that learners might not see in textbooks.
Exactly. These little variations are what make native speakers sound natural, but they can also be tricky if you're used to more formal English. That's why role-playing situations like this is so helpful.
Definitely. Now, for everyone listening, you can practice role playing conversations like this with a friend or even on your own. Try to repeat common phrases or use apps that offer conversation practice with native speakers.
And don't forget to practice speaking out loud. The more you do, the more confident you'll feel. The key is to get comfortable with these real-life situations. So, grab a friend and start role-playing. Now that we've walked through some tips and even role-played a real-life situation, we want to remind you, understanding native speakers is a journey. It's normal to feel frustrated at times, but the key is to keep practicing and stay patient.
That's right. Everyone struggles at first, but with consistent effort, you'll start noticing improvements. Celebrate the small victories, like understanding a new phrase in a TV show or feeling more comfortable in a conversation. Each step forward is progress.
Exactly. And don't forget to use the strategies we talked about today. Whether it's listening with subtitles, shadowing, or immersing yourself in English content, all of these tools will help you get better over time.
Remember, the more you expose yourself to English, the easier it becomes to understand native speakers. So take those small steps each day. Watch a short video, listen to a podcast, or practice speaking with a friend.
And most importantly, don't give up. Keep pushing forward, and soon enough, you'll feel much more confident in your listening skills. All right, everyone, that brings us to the end of today's episode. We've covered a lot of ground, talking about the challenges of understanding native speakers, giving you practical tips to improve your listening skills, and even sharing some real-life examples and role-playing exercises. Our goal was to help you feel more confident in navigating conversations with native English speakers, and we hope you found this episode helpful.
Yes, and remember, learning to understand native speakers is not something that happens overnight. It's a gradual process. But with the right strategies and consistent practice, you will improve. We believe in you. Don't be afraid to step out of your comfort zone, listen to different types of content, and immerse yourself in English as much as possible.
And before we go, here's a little challenge for you. Try to spend at least 15 minutes every day listening to something in English. Whether it's a podcast, a YouTube video, or even a conversation with a friend, those small daily steps will make a huge difference over time.
And don't forget to engage with us. If you have any questions or topics you'd like us to cover in future episodes, leave a comment below or reach out to us on social media. We love hearing from you, and your feedback helps us create more content that's relevant to your learning journey.
Also, if you enjoyed this episode, make sure to subscribe to the channel and hit the notification bell so you don't miss out on any new episodes. And if you know someone who's also learning English, share this podcast with them. It might be just what they need. Sfuartu.
Thanks for tuning in, everyone. Keep practicing, stay motivated, and we'll see you next time.
See you in the next episode. Hello, everyone, and welcome back to the English Learning Podcast. I'm your host, Jason, and today we're going to dive into something that we know many of you are probably struggling with: learning English while managing a busy life. Whether you're working, studying, or just juggling a packed schedule, finding time to improve your English can be challenging. But don't worry, we've got you covered.
That's right, Jason. In 2025, there are so many demands on our time. But that doesn't mean we can't continue learning and improving our language skills. Today, we're going to share some simple yet effective English learning hacks that fit right into your busy day. So if you're short on time, this episode is perfect for you.
Exactly. We know you've got a lot on your plate, but with the right strategies, you can keep learning English in small, manageable ways that will make a big difference over time. Let's get started. All right, Julia, before we jump into the hacks themselves, let's talk about the importance of consistency. When it comes to learning a language, especially for busy people, consistency is absolutely key. You don't need to dedicate hours at a time, but just a little bit every day can make a huge difference. What do you think, Julia?
Absolutely, Jason. Learning English or any language is a marathon, not a sprint. And even if you only have 10 to 15 minutes a day, doing that every single day is far more effective than cramming for a couple of hours once in a while. The idea is to keep the language fresh in your mind, and regular practice helps you build momentum. It's like exercising. Even if you can't hit the gym for an hour, those 10-minute daily workouts add up over time.
That's such a great comparison. And, the more you practice, the more you're going to see improvement. It's like learning to ride a bike. At first, it might feel awkward, but the more you do it, the easier it becomes, right?
Exactly. And even for busy people, creating small pockets of time throughout the day for English practice can lead to long-term success. The key is making it a daily habit, not something that feels like a huge task. For example, if you're commuting, you can listen to an English podcast or practice vocabulary on your phone. Those little moments really add up.
Right. And speaking of those small pockets of time, it's important to remember that consistency doesn't mean you need to sit down and study for hours. It's all about finding tiny moments throughout your day to engage with English, whether that's reading a few sentences, listening to a quick audio clip, or even reviewing a few words before bed.
Exactly. So even if you're super busy, think of it like this. You don't have to do everything all at once. Small daily efforts can lead to big results over time. And don't get discouraged if you can't spend an hour on your language learning today. Just make sure you come back and try again tomorrow.
That's the mindset, Julia. So, whether it's 5 minutes here or 10 minutes there, the important thing is to stay consistent. Small actions, done regularly, will help you build your skills in no time. Now that we've talked about the importance of consistency, let's dive into the first hack for busy learners. Learning in small, manageable chunks. This is such a powerful approach, especially when your schedule is packed. Julia, can you explain how breaking things down into smaller bits can make a big difference?
Of course, Jason. When we talk about learning in chunks, what we really mean is focusing on smaller, bite-sized pieces of information at a time. Instead of trying to memorize a whole list of vocabulary words or tackle an entire grammar lesson in one go, you break it down into just a few words or concepts. This way, it feels less overwhelming, and you can actually remember and use what you've learned.
Exactly. And it's not just about breaking things down in terms of content, but also in terms of time. You don't need to spend an hour sitting down to study. A lot of people make the mistake of thinking they need long study sessions to be effective, but that's not true. Even 5 to 10 minutes here and there can make a huge impact.
Exactly. For instance, if you're learning vocabulary instead of trying to learn 30 new words at once, aim for just 5. Then, once you've mastered those, you can add a few more the next day. This keeps things manageable and helps you retain the information better. It's all about quality over quantity.
And this works so well with busy people because it allows you to fit in these short learning sessions throughout the day. Maybe you're waiting in line, or you have a few minutes before your meeting starts. Perfect times to review those 5 words or listen to a short sentence in English.
Right. And even when you're doing other activities, you can multitask in a way that reinforces your English. For example, you can learn a chunk of a podcast or video on your way to work, or listen to a short English lesson while you're exercising. You're still learning, but you're not taking extra time out of your day.
Exactly. So, if you're learning a new language, you don't need to overwhelm yourself with long sessions. By focusing on just a few words, phrases, or concepts each day, you're still making steady progress. And because you're learning small chunks, it's easier to retain the information and use it more effectively.
And don't forget, consistency matters here too. If you stick to learning just a small chunk every day, you'll be amazed at how much you can absorb over time. It's like building a tower, one brick at a time.
Well said, Julia. So, remember, don't try to do it all at once. Focus on small chunks that fit into your busy schedule, and keep building your knowledge step by step. Now, let's move on to our next hack. All right, now let's move on to our second hack. Using technology to your advantage. In 2025, we've got so many tools right at our fingertips. And if you're a busy person, you can definitely use this to your benefit. Julia, what are some of the best tech tools that can help busy learners improve their English?
Great question, Jason. Technology has really transformed how we can learn languages. One of the most obvious tools is language learning apps. There are tons of apps out there, like Duolingo, Babbel, and Memories, that break down lessons into quick, manageable lessons. You can learn new words, practice grammar, and even do mini quizzes all in just a few minutes.
Right. And these apps are great for busy people because you can use them during those small pockets of time throughout the day, while you're waiting for your coffee, commuting, or even on your lunch break. It's all about making the most of those moments that would otherwise go to waste.
Exactly, Jason. And let's not forget about podcasts. Podcasts are one of my personal favorites for learning English on the go. There are so many great podcasts that focus on English language learning. You can listen while you're walking, driving, or even cooking. It's a great way to improve your listening skills and learn new vocabulary without having to sit down at your desk for a study session.
Yes, and the best part is that many podcasts are designed for English learners at different levels, so you can find one that fits your needs. Some podcasts focus on conversation skills, while others dive into grammar and vocabulary. And because podcasts are audio-based, they're perfect for multitasking.
Definitely, and we also have voice assistants like Siri, Google Assistant, or Alexa. These can be great tools for practicing your speaking and pronunciation skills. You can ask them questions, practice simple conversations, or even set them to quiz you on vocabulary. It's just like having a mini English tutor in your pocket.
That's such a good point. It's an easy way to practice speaking when you're short on time. You can also use language translation apps to help you when you're stuck on a word or phrase, which can help you keep the conversation going even when you're learning. These apps are available at your fingertips, so you don't have to wait until you sit down with a textbook.
Exactly, Jason. And let's not forget YouTube. There are countless channels like the English Learning Podcast that offer free English lessons and tips. You can watch videos during your break, in the morning, or before bed. And the beauty of YouTube is that you can pause and rewind when you need to, making it super convenient for busy people.
Totally. With YouTube, you've got access to a wealth of content, whether you're looking for lessons, pronunciation tips, or even listening to natural conversations. And you can use it to practice listening skills or even take notes to review later.
So, in short, technology is a game changer for busy people learning English. You don't have to be tied to a desk with textbooks. Instead, you can learn and practice wherever you are, using your phone, tablet, or computer. The key is to find the tools that work best for your learning style and use them consistently.
Exactly. So, if you haven't already, try incorporating some of these tech tools into your daily routine. They'll make your language learning experience much more flexible and efficient, even when you're short on time. Now, let's move on to our next hack. Now, for our third hack, integrating English into your daily life. This is a great way for busy people to practice without needing to set aside extra time for study. Julia, can you explain how listeners can seamlessly incorporate English into their everyday routines?
Of course, Jason. One of the easiest ways to do this is by surrounding yourself with English as much as possible. For example, change the language settings on your phone, social media, or even your computer to English. This way, you're constantly exposed to the language in your daily tasks, and it becomes a part of your routine without you even thinking about it.
That's a great tip. And it's an easy way to practice without it feeling like you're studying. Plus, you'll be learning words and phrases that are relevant to your daily life, which will make them easier to remember and use.
Exactly. Another great way is to listen to English music or watch TV shows, movies, or YouTube videos in English. You don't have to do anything special. Just replace your usual entertainment with something in English. You can even start with subtitles if you're still getting used to the language.
Right, Julia. You can start by watching something you enjoy, but in English. Over time, this will help you get used to the rhythm of the language and pick up new words and expressions naturally. Plus, it doesn't feel like studying, which is great for those busy days.
Another great idea is to label things around your home. For example, put sticky notes on your fridge, door, or desk with the English words for everyday items. This constant exposure will help reinforce vocabulary in a very natural way.
I love that one. It's so simple, but it works really well. And if you're cooking dinner or doing some housework, you can try to describe what you're doing in English. It's a fun way to practice speaking without needing a partner.
Exactly. And don't forget about the power of thinking in English. Whenever you're making decisions, planning your day, or even just daydreaming, try to do it in English. The more you immerse yourself in the language, the more natural it will feel.
That's such a powerful tip. And it's also a great way to make English a part of your lifestyle. The goal is to make English as present as possible in your life, so you don't have to carve out extra time to learn it. It's all about finding those small, natural ways to fit it in.
Exactly. So try to incorporate English into whatever you're already doing, whether that's through entertainment, daily tasks, or even thinking in the language. It'll help you improve your skills while keeping your busy schedule intact.
Well said, Julia. So, as you can see, integrating English into your daily life is a super effective way to keep learning even when you don't have much free time. Now, let's move on to our next hack. All right, let's move on to our fourth hack, prioritizing speaking and listening. For many learners, speaking and listening are the most challenging aspects of language learning, but they're also the most important. Julia, how can busy people prioritize these skills even with limited time?
Great question, Jason. The key is to practice speaking and listening as much as possible in short bursts throughout your day. You don't need to schedule a long practice session. Instead, use those small moments to listen to podcasts, watch English videos, or even just repeat words and phrases you hear. Even 5 minutes of speaking or listening a day can make a difference.
Exactly. And when it comes to speaking, one effective way is to practice with voice assistants like Siri or Google Assistant. You can ask them questions, give commands, or even try to hold simple conversations. It's a quick and easy way to practice your speaking skills whenever you have a free minute.
Right. And there are also apps that help you practice speaking with real people. Apps like HelloTalk or Tandem let you connect with native speakers or other learners for short conversations. You can exchange messages or have voice chats, all while fitting it into your schedule.
That's a fantastic point. Speaking with others, even for just a few minutes a day, helps build your confidence and gets you used to using the language in real-life situations. And for listening, you don't need to watch a full movie or TV show. Listening to short clips, like a 3-minute podcast episode or a short YouTube video, can really help improve your listening skills.
Exactly. And you can start with slower-paced content or podcasts specifically designed for learners, which will help you get used to the pronunciation and intonation. Over time, you'll feel more comfortable listening to faster, more natural conversations.
And remember, the goal here is not perfection. It's about getting comfortable with the flow of the language and learning to understand how native speakers talk. The more you practice speaking and listening, the more natural it will feel.
Absolutely. So, whether it's repeating phrases, listening to a short podcast, or chatting with a language partner, try to make speaking and listening a daily habit. Even a little practice each day can lead to significant improvement.
Great advice, Julia. Prioritizing speaking and listening will definitely help boost your overall fluency. So, get those speaking and listening moments into your busy day. And let's move on to our final hack. Finally, let's talk about our last hack: setting achievable short-term goals. This is one of the most effective ways to stay motivated and make consistent progress, especially when you're juggling a busy schedule. Julia, how can listeners set goals that work for them?
Great question, Jason. The key to setting goals is to make them specific, measurable, and realistic. Instead of saying, "I want to speak English better," try something like, "I'll learn 10 new vocabulary words this week," or "I'll practice speaking for 5 minutes every day." These smaller goals are much easier to achieve, and they keep you on track.
Exactly. When you focus on smaller, short-term goals, they feel more manageable. And when you accomplish them, you get that boost of motivation to keep going. Plus, they give you a clear direction in your language learning.
Right? And you can adjust your goals based on what's realistic for you. If one week is especially busy, you might set a goal to listen to one podcast episode instead of 5. The important thing is to keep your goals flexible, but still challenging enough to push you forward.
Great point, Julia. And remember, celebrating those small wins along the way is important. It helps you stay positive and focused on progress, no matter how small it seems.
Exactly. So, start with one goal at a time, something small and achievable, and build from there. Over time, you'll see how much progress you've made, even with just a few minutes of effort each day.
Perfect advice, Julia. Short-term goals not only make learning feel more manageable, but they also help you stay motivated on your English learning journey. Well, that's it for our 5 English learning hacks for busy people. That's a wrap on our 5 English learning hacks for busy people in 2025. We hope you found these tips helpful and that they'll make it easier for you to keep improving your English, no matter how busy your schedule gets.
Absolutely. To quickly recap, we've talked about the power of consistency, how to use technology to your advantage, integrating English into your daily life, prioritizing speaking and listening, and setting achievable short-term goals. Each of these strategies can help you make steady progress, even if you only have a few minutes each day.
That's right. Remember, it's not about finding hours to study. It's about using the small moments throughout your day to keep practicing. Every little bit counts.
So, take a moment to think about which of these hacks you can start applying today. Whether it's changing your phone's language settings or setting a goal to listen to a podcast every morning, every step you take gets you closer to your goal.
And don't forget to celebrate your progress along the way. Language learning is a journey, and every achievement, no matter how small, is worth celebrating.
Thanks so much for joining us on this episode of the English Learning Podcast. If you enjoyed today's tips, be sure to subscribe, share this podcast with a friend, and leave us a review. We'd love to hear how these hacks are helping you.
Until next time, keep learning, stay consistent, and make English a part of your daily life. Take care and happy learning.